Hi everybody, it's Barry Pearman here again from turningthepage.info and welcome to another Turning the Page podcast. Today we're talking about failure, and I'm sure you know what failure is. And if you can talk about failure, I think you can talk about anything. I remember this guy I was talking to, and as he opened up and talked about his failures, I wondered what I was supposed to do. And questions sort of rumbled through my mind. What was he being genuine? Was he seeking sympathy? What wasn't he telling me? Was this some sort of pity party? But no, he actually owned the failures of his life, and he was taking responsibility for the mess he had made of life. And he just wanted me to know. Another instance, a lady was telling me the story of a time when she'd made a terrible decision. Now, this failure had others' failures clinging to it. The weight of it was taking her down, and she wanted me to know. One of my less than desirable jobs as a gardener is to clean drains. It's fascinating how one little twig will get caught on the side of a drain. Then, later on, another small branch will come downstream and collide with it, and then they knit together. Then some leaves float down and they mesh in amongst the twigs, and fine silt washes into the knitting and builds a base. And then weed seeds settle on the soil and spread their roots and blocks the drain. It just creates a major mess. And it just stays blocked until something quite abrupt and unsettling comes and disturbs the clog. It's usually my spade, diving deep and long into the mess and cleaning it all out. Some people collect stamps, I did when I was a kid, and some people collect China dolls. Most of us collect our failures. Little failures seem to snag into our life. They bind and they weave themselves into the psyche. Then another failure happens and it twists itself into the psyche. Failures accumulate, and you take on the personality of a walled-up dam. You see yourself as a failure, and any successes and any joys get shredded down to being yet another failure. When understanding failure, it's crucial to know the difference between shame and guilt. Guilt is focused on a behaviour that has been done. I did something wrong. I am guilty of stealing a cookie from the cookie jar. I did it. I own the action I took. I own the thinking that led me down that pathway to opening the pantry door, prying open the tin, and devouring the cookie. Shame, instead, is actually focused on the self. I am bad. I am a cookie thief, a notorious biscuit bandit. I steal, rob, and destroy cookies. I have the full personality of a cookie criminal. Guilt is, I made a mistake. Shame is, I am a mistake. How many of us have a deep belief that we are a mistake? When I was researching for the post, Why Don't Men Talk, I received this message on Facebook as a reason why men don't talk. And this particular person said, being told as a child that you're a failure, you're useless, you're a parasite, you know nothing. Tears welled up in me when I thought of a small child being hammered with shame. It's abuse, emotional abuse. Little twigs gathered together, these would have collected further shame messages that floated by. They would have dug deep into this man's thinking. You know, shame collects shame like a rotting carcass collects flies. It's repulsive, smelly, and ultimately destructive. It's love that shatters shame. We don't want to talk about our failures, as failures can be shame buttons. Talk about them, and others have the opportunity to push the button and spread the word that you're a failure. You know, Jesus and Peter, they were the closest of friends. Where Jesus went, Peter went. You couldn't separate them. And so, in the time when Jesus needed Peter's friendship the most, you would expect Peter to be bound right next to him. Instead, Peter denied even knowing Jesus. That's a slap in the face to Jesus, slap in the face to anybody. The message to Jesus was, you're truly alone. And a natural consequence you would think to this behaviour would be Jesus rejecting Peter. I think many of us probably would. I can't trust you anymore. I thought I knew you. Why did you reject me? There's lots of scenes in the Bible where I'd love to just go back and just be able to see what happened in the relationship. And this is one of them. I'd love to know what that first conversation between Jesus and Peter was like after this event. What were the verbal and the non-verbal messages being sent and received? I wonder what happened. We don't know. We really don't know. But we know that on the third meeting, where Peter was out in a boat and Jesus was on the beach, Peter leapt out of the boat, swam to the shore, and warmed himself around a fire Jesus had built. And the words flowed and love was exchanged. Peter was restored, and his vision, Christ's vision for him, was resurrected. So here's what I think happened in that first meeting. I think forgiveness and shame got shattered by love, like my sharp spade cutting through the dross of a drain. Paul was also another one who knew the dark shadow of shame well, and I think it was actually his thorn in the flesh. He also knew about love, and he wrote in 1 Corinthians 13, love keeps no records of wrongs. Love keeps no record of wrongs. When we love well, we don't keep a record of what this person did or did not do. We learn to let it go. There's no shaming of others for past offences. We don't enslave them to the burden of another time. We don't shame ourselves either. Self-love is as valuable as loving others. Let me say that again. Self-love is as valuable as loving others. We forgive ourselves and we learn from our failures. Look, you're not a wretch, so don't sing yourself into a shame-based spirituality. Perhaps some loving self-talk might shift the silt of shame. I'm not the man I once was. I'm not the woman I once was. I'm not the sum of my failures. I'm not the sum of my successes. I'm one who is loved, held, and cherished for all that I am. One failure in life seems to collect another failure, but love can cut through any collection of failures. And we need to listen for the shame that has been collected, in our friends' lives, in our own, and then meet it loving, open, forgiving arms. Here's some quotes. Shame causes us to see our identity as flawed rather than seeing ourselves as having flaws. Dan Allender. Religion without grace can tie shame around our souls like a choke chain and never offers relief. Brennan Manning. Shame loves secrecy. The most dangerous thing to do after a shaming experience is hide or bury our story. When we bury our story, the shame metastasizes. That's Brené Brown. To be known means that you allow your shame and guilt to be exposed in order for them to be healed. Kurt Thompson. Your failures are just another occasion and opportunity to learn and practice love, even toward yourself. You deserve mercy too. Richard Rohr. When the failure has promised some serious personal learning, then it's no longer truly a failure. David Riddell. Unless a bishop, teacher, or minister has on some level walked through suffering, failure, or humiliation, his or her words will tend to be fine but superficial, okay but harmless, heard by the ears but unable to touch the soul. Richard Rohr. Life, if we are honest about it, is made up of many failings and fallings amidst all of our hopeful growing and achieving. Richard Rohr. Christianity is not about being right, it is about being loved. Kurt Thompson. So here's some questions. What stops us from talking about our failures? Number 2. What do you think Jesus said to Peter in that first encounter? 3, how has failure collected other failures in your life? And number 4, what is the cumulative effect of collecting failures? Hey, I hope you found this helpful, and I do pray that the shame-based messages that you've received, those things that have collected around your life, like twigs and sticks and leaves, that love, particularly love from Christ, that's expressed through someone close to you, that would reach into your heart and cut that out and clean it out. And if you could actually express that love to somebody else and their shame that they've collected, that would be like Christ, wouldn't it? Hey, thanks for listening. And if you want to read more about this, you can come over to the show notes or the blog at turningthepage.info. And a big thank you to my supporters that give a little bit of money each month towards this. If you want to become part of that fantastic team, just come over to turningthepage.info/support, and you can see lots of different options and how you can be part of our team. Thank you so much, and I pray that you have a good week.